because of the squirming that this tube does, it would tie itself in knots if it weren't for something like this to prevent that. So the number one function of the mesentery, or a number one function for the mesentery, is to prevent the tangling of the intestine. There are some creatures that have trouble with that. As I understand it, horses are one of them, and St. Bernard dogs are another. Their intestine actually does kind of get tangled into a knot. When that happens, it pinches off, and of course a lot of pressure builds up behind that pinching, and it ultimately ruptures and kills the critter. And I've forgotten there's a name for that even. I don't have any vet people in here. Anyway, number one function then is to prevent the tangling of the intestine. Again, if you're in the right light and got the right visual angle, you can see blood vessels in there. And so the second function would be to prevent the tangling of the blood vessels, or vascular system. What you can't see but is there are nerves, so it prevents the tangling of the nerves. Also, what you can't see, because it's not injected properly, is the lymph system, which also is protected from tangling. There's a lot of squirming goes on. So, protects from tangling the intestine, the vascular system, the nervous system, the lymph system, stores fat, good fat repository, and being it's a serous membrane, it lubricates with serous fluid all of this movement down here. I don't know. I was hoping you kept track.
It is.
6, huh? Okay, there is a 7th function, but I'll save that until I can show it to you. And the only way you're going to really get a decent feel for what this intestine is all about is after you've examined that mesentery, you're going to have to do some damage.
Yuck.
What? When you do this, I mean, you see me doing it and it looks pretty willy-nilly, but there is a plan. And I'll show it to you in a moment here. You got to get the intestine so that you can see where it ends. And then the colon is here, this bigger, bulgier section is the colon. Yours may or may not be that way. More often than not, the colon doesn't bulge, so that you don't get a good sense of where the colon is. The tube seems to be continuous. Now, going the other way, this is a good deal, you know. If you got your mink and you want to carry it, you can use this as a lanyard. It works pretty well. Or it's like a guitar string carrier. Here's the other thing. Working my way in this direction now toward the liver, and that's not always easy to tell because, again, this is all kind of interacted. That's the right word. Well, anyway, mess. But right in here, you're going to see this tannish stuff, and that happens to be the pancreas. Yeah, you aren't going to see it if you don't kind of rubberneck a little bit. But this tannish stuff in here is the pancreas. Now, just a few more things about this. Well, let me do this again. Take this intestine when you loosen it up and divide it into thirds like this. The first third coming out of this stomach region is called the ileum, jejunum, J-E-J-U-N-U-M. The jejunum, first third. Remaining 2/3 are called ileum, I-L-E-U-M, and you do not want to spell that word wrong, because I-L-I-U-M is a bone, hip bone, in fact, I-L-E-U-M. So, first third, jejunum, remaining 2/3, ileum. But the first third I'm talking about comes after the first segment, whose name is duodenum, or duodenum if you prefer, but duodenum is what I prefer. And the duodenum is the first segment after the stomach. So when the stomach empties, it empties into the duodenum. Where does the duodenum end? That's always a little tough too, but if you're in the right spot, once again you can see a kink in the intestine here, and that generally is accepted as the end of the duodenum and the beginning of the jejunum. But you won't be able to truly figure that out if you're doing this, because you tend to stretch that thing tight. So if you want to see that ending,